A unique Veterans Day conversation tonight.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
You know, Veterans Day is one of those days where you kind of point to it and say every day ought to be Veterans Day. Well, our guest tonight will talk to you about how she's living that, no doubt. No special week for her other than every day is a special day as she helps veterans. And you know, this is not a token conversation. I get a little concerned on Veterans Week that we kind of go through the motions and we actually practice the cliche, thank you for your service. Actually, there's a piece in the Providence Journal on Thursday, which is when we record this show. You see it on Friday on Fox and Channel 12 on Sunday, where the op-ed writer suggests that the thanks ought to be for sacrifice and not for service, which I think is an entire conversation that we probably can have on the radio at weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRI, because I think there's a poignant point to make. Point is, there's some great work being done. I want to tell you about it. My guest will in just a couple of minutes. So thanks very much for tuning in on this Veterans Day week. A couple things, though, on my mind news-wise. I wrote a column in, if you haven't seen it, thevalleybreeze.com is the website, or you can pick up one of the 60,000 hard copies of the old-fashioned newspaper that the Valley Breeze puts out every week, and I write a column on a weekly basis there. And this week's column was about the staffing issues that are, you know, really becoming problematic with the hospitals. Here's one of the things, now obviously that's not my column, but that is the Providence Journal headline that caused me actually to write about this. A couple of Rhode Island hospitals get violation notices for failing to meet COVID vaccine mandate. Now that was written earlier in the week, and some things have changed since that headline came, but what it highlights is two of our substantial medical facilities, one on the state side, one on the private side, being sanctioned by the Rhode Island Department of Health for non-compliance with unvaccinated nurses and staff. And you know, as I'm reading this, it's finally dawning on me for good that it's time to call it a day. Thank the unvaccinated to vaccinated, you know, those who reacted to the mandate rather than the joy of the vaccine, for doing their part. And maybe we ought to shut this baby down and just move it back to the facilities for their own determination, because the vaccine mandate, so you know, originally began when the two major hospital institutions petitioned the governor and the State Department of Health for it. Both Lifespan and Care New England really wanted it. And the governor acquiesced, but the DOH went across the board with everybody that's got a medical license, period. And I think that was just an overreach. I've said so many times, and I think it's coming home to bear here. The two major hospital organizations are doing what they can to make good on the operations of the hospital, but others are fledgling, and in fact, a couple of dozen hospitals haven't even reported in this overtime session, the extension, the deadline past October 1st, where the health department said, all right, you really got to get this done, and you got to report to us, and they haven't reported, and it's just a mess. It's a bureaucratic mess, and more importantly, you get headlines like this, which really concerned me today, meaning Thursday. You're seeing this on Friday, where staffing shortages are causing a couple of group homes to close. This is actually a facility in this particular story that actually receives people from Eleanor Slater Hospital that's on the state side. The other difficulty thing, the other difficulty here is that the DOH regulates this, right? And they say they're going to fine both hospitals. It's a laugh out loud joke. What are they going to do, fine the state hospital? The state's going to fine the state hospital? It's like moving money from this part of the table to that part of the table. What's that all about? Fining Landmark, a private institution, or others, well, you got a discrimination litigation challenge that's going to go on here, let alone the challenges we have with hospital help. I think it's time that we say, great job, DOH, great job, Governor, great job, everybody. Let's calm it down and let's let mandatory testing and masks rule the day until this variant takes a run out of here. Or at least we get to endemic status, right? All right, so think about that. It's a conversation we ought to have continually because, it's really getting to a crossroads here. Oh, by the way, the update is that Landmark coughed up and actually put on furlough the nurses that they had who they gave religious exemptions to, obviously because they're under threat from the DOH. But the whole thing is not constructive anymore. All right, the other thing that I want to just follow up on real quick, a show ago or two, we had the city clerk on here from Providence. He is under fire. He's embattled, and he's going to be, I don't know, testifying for his career life next week in a very public and I'm sure broadcast session in front of the city council. The city council president is gunning for him. He offered some of his thoughts on the show last week. Here's some random cuts.
I mean, people walk up to me all of the time and apologize to me and say they can't believe what I'm being put through, and sometimes they even share their own personal stories of being mistreated in the same way that I'm being accused of these things. I'm very passionate about good government, and I came here as a change agent to try to improve things in City Hall, and I didn't realize how that would not further the best interests of people who controlled information before I arrived. How could someone believe that someone who's coming there to improve processes and is very supportive of their staff and is trying to train their staff and has been working for these years to improve that office, I don't know how someone could even conceive that I would be responsible for someone's mental problem.
That's Sean Selleck reflecting on 3 veterans of his office who have made complaints, including mental distress and all of that. And it's a frittata that's very hard to unwind. It's all going to kind of get exposed next week. There's been prosecutorial investigations and this and that. But ironically, on an unsolicited basis, 2 of the longtime staffers in that office dialed my radio show last week or asked for time on it to mount a defense for him. Here's some quick highlights.
Well, I think that it probably comes down to Sean is, not afraid to stand up, speak up, where maybe somebody in another position is probably at the mercy of Igliozzi and will do, puppeteer work. And Sean isn't, that type. So I think that's probably the root of it all.
I think he's a man of integrity and it can't be compromised, and that doesn't go over well. City politics, it's all power and greed, it has been, and he's trying so much with transparency.
So, interesting. There are forces that are actually in support of the city clerk. The city council is going to have a very difficult decision to make, but before that, there's going to be some most likely quite acrimonious testimony. And you're wondering, for what job? Yeah, the city clerk in Providence. Anyway, take a look at this TikTok video that grabbed my attention. Karen Dalton is the, actually, I forgot to ask, are you the director, the owner, the operator?
I am the founder.
The founder.
Founder and executive vice president of Dare to Dream Ranch.
Dare to Dream Ranch. This is some project that you have there. I've got some more video that I'm going to show everybody about it. But when I say it's Veterans Day week, or as we record, it's Veterans Day, and folks kind of focus on Veterans Day. You don't do anything special on Veterans Day. You just keep doing what you do, which is special, every day, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day, 7 days a week, we are offering different types of programs to help our veterans and their families.
All right. So, listen, I'm not a big TikTok fan, but I did look at your Facebook page, and the video was there. Give me an executive summary of what it is that you do at the Dare to Dream Ranch out there in the hills of western Rhode Island.
Out there in Foster Gloucester Middle School,
right.
We offer alternative therapy for service members, veterans, and their families with PTSD, anxiety, depression, military sexual trauma, mild traumatic brain injury, and stroke recovery. And we work with our clients, and we see there's not one size fits all. So we have gardening, we have woodworking, we have beekeeping, we have equine therapy, we have agritherapy. So we have lots of different programs that have helped other veterans, and those veterans then in turn want to help other veterans with what helped them. So I basically hold space. We have 11 acres, and as programs continuously evolve, we add more and more programs. So we are in the process of trying to buy another 10 acres. We had an organization come to us recently within the last few months and wanted to turn a shipping container into a sustainable tiny home. And there is a need out there. Over the last 5 years, my fiance and I have helped veterans that are finding themselves in a homeless situation that don't qualify for housing opportunities because they're above poverty. They may be going through a divorce, they may be transitioning out of the military, they have a lot of debt, but yet they have income that puts them above poverty, where they don't get help through other organizations.
Right in that middle space. All right, great overview. When we come back, we're going to show you a little bit more about what happens at this terrific facility and how did Karen start this incredible project. Stay with us. Hey, by the way, we found out, you never know with social media, right? Karen just told me that the actual TikTok video that we showed in the first segment is really not from the ranch. It's somebody posting on, a matter peripheral to the ranch. So if you're looking for what was on that video at the ranch, it ain't there necessarily. But anyway, the world of social media, right? How about the world of television? Here's a good piece that explains her work in some ways.
This is the Dare to Dream Ranch in Foster, and this is George Huddleston. He might look like a simple rancher, but this man is a 35-year Army veteran, the keeper of battleground secrets no ordinary person could bear. But perhaps his biggest secret was internalized after he retired.
I had just gone through my third divorce. I was in a bad way. I was struggling with failure issues, feeling like a failure.
Like so many veterans, George was struggling to find purpose.
I lost my way. I found it very difficult.
Until he found the Dare to Dream Ranch.
It's been a godsend ever since. I'm finding myself out here.
Farming is mission and purpose and structure, and the camaraderie is we're strictly a military facility.
That was Karen Dalton's mission when she started the ranch in 2016. Now it runs 7 programs a year, serving up to 900 service members, veterans, and their families.
We can relate to each other, and we can help each other.
If you can help just one person overcome the challenges, emotional challenges that they are going through, it makes it all worthwhile.
So how did you start this?
I was going to school to become a health coach. At the time, I was working in the healthcare industry, which is interesting with the topic that you started this
Feel free to
off with.
opine. You agree with me or not?
I absolutely agree. Our nurses and doctors were there in the heat of the pandemic, and everything was okay for them to take care of your loved ones, and losing their jobs because they're refusing to get a vaccine that they don't trust, I think is wrong. I think is wrong, and so I do. Well,
you and I a month or so ago might have disagreed on the elemental issue, but what bothers me now is that you have to be flexible in terms of understanding what the market need is, and I don't want to see patients. Yours, I mean, people come to your place who need doctors and nurses as much as anybody or more. Or anybody else not be able to get their procedures, not be able to get their care because the shortage is just squeezing them. And look, at 95%, as far as I'm concerned, it's a job well done, period. Anyway, but I digress. I'm glad you offered that thought. Everybody's got an opinion on the vaccine, yo.
That's true.
Everybody.
That's true. But
anyway,
we're not here to talk about that right now.
You're right. But well, it's very reflective of what the world is like right now. You bump into somebody on something else, or that you're out for a social evening or whatever, and the vaccine thing comes up, and all of a sudden you go, "Oh no, I didn't know that I had a disagreement with my best friend," and all of a sudden everybody gets all excited about it. It's hard right now. It's a hard time, and I'm sure it's reflected in some of the work that you're doing. COVID, I'm sure, has added stress to these wonderful veterans who are stressed enough.
Unfortunately, we saw a huge spike in suicides last year because of the isolation around COVID. Yeah.
I don't think people understand. I almost fell down when I researched this number. The numbers vary depending on who's doing the data. But we're in the neighborhood of 16 or 17 suicides daily in America from our veterans across this country.
Right.
Do the math on that. That is horrifying.
Right. It is. It absolutely is. And I personally watch on social media friend after friend, veteran after veteran post that they lost a battle buddy last year. And it's heartbreaking. And we just try to do our best in our own little part of Rhode Island, our own little part of the world, to try and reach as many people as we can in as many different ways as we can.
Are you, I don't need specific names. I wouldn't ask, because I'm sure there's a lot of privacy stuff that goes on there, and I'm sure it's a sovereign place for people to meet and gather and share and experience. But do you feel like your work is taking a veteran or two or more from the brink?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they've shared with me how it's helped them. I physically can see that they're doing better and they're in a better place. We've seen marriages that were falling apart that are thriving and doing well. And then at the same time, I do have permission to share this one, but there was a veteran that died due to PTSD 2 years ago, and his 9-year-old daughter looks forward to every day. Is it ranch day? Can I come to the ranch today? So I am working with a 9-year-old because I didn't get the opportunity to work with her father. So, and her mom did give me permission, written permission, to share that with you.
And when you say you work with the folks there, what does that mean?
Well, it's basically coaching through the use of animals. We have different animals. We do equine facilitated coaching, so that program in itself would be specific to working with horses on the ground, on relationship skill building, nonverbal communication, trust and leadership. So if you have somebody with PTSD, anxiety, or depression, they may be having issues with a relationship or communicating effectively or feeling like they're heard. And we help them to overcome their challenges and reach their goals by working with the horses on the ground. Now, when you're working with a 9-year-old, you have to be cognizant of some of the animals are 1,800 pounds, 1,200 pounds. You're going to work with the smaller animals. So maybe we're working with the miniature horses or the goats, or we're doing things with the rabbits and taking care of them.
Veterans who feel like they're isolated, they come and they find a social group. Yes?
Yes, we are strictly a military facility, so that everyone there. So unlike other equine facilities that open to every demographic, we are strictly a military facility that brings in different programs for our service members, veterans, and their family.
You don't end up with a foundation of 900 folks that you're dealing with without incredible word of mouth. I mean, the veterans must come away from this thinking, and they're probably selling their buddies on the idea that they ought to, come on, try it for a day, come on over and see what's going on, right?
Yeah, come check it out, come see what we're doing. And one veteran came to us and they enjoyed what they were doing, and then they contacted me and said, hey, can I bring my buddy by? Sure, let's plan it. When do you want to come by? And it goes from there. We do a lot with the National Guard. I have a table at all the Yellow Ribbon events, so pre-post, mid-deployments, we have a table there, resource table, that shares what we're doing and why we're doing it. And a lot of our referrals do come right from there. Rhode Island is the second most deployed National Guard in the country.
All right, these things, good work like this doesn't tap in without resources. We'll talk to you about how you can help, and if you're a veteran or know a veteran, and everyone watching does, how you can encourage somebody to get involved with this great project when we come back. Stay with us. So for half a dozen years now, the Dare to Dream Ranch has been operating, and it says by appointment only, because you don't want, Karen's got to figure out who's on the campus and who's not, and who's doing what, and all that kind of a thing. And look at 900 some odd veterans that have been through your facility. You got a big log. I mean, you got a lot going on there. Are you accepting more veterans as we speak?
We do see large groups, which is why we can get that amount of numbers. We do different whole day retreats where we may have anywhere from 50 to 100 people there on any given day, which is, like, again, why we can get that many numbers. But we do anywhere from a whole day retreat to individual sessions. So whole day retreat, they come for breakfast. We do, maybe we do massages, maybe we do some archery, we provide lunch, maybe we do some equine therapy, we do some hiking.
What kind of staffing do you have?
All volunteers. We're all volunteers. That's
amazing. The video that we showed you earlier, the kind of overview, was actually a portion of a story on the 401 Gives program where you had benefited from that. You run this entire show on
volunteers and
donations.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Can I ask what your annual nut is?
Well, as we continue to grow and expand, we're close to $100,000 to operate and take care of all the animals in our facilities. And as we continue to add programs, and we're in the process of trying to double our size and add another 10 acres so we can expand our programs even more, as well as add some tiny homes.
So here's a number and a website. If you are inclined to say, hey, listen, what an incredible deal. First, I'd love to have a chance to participate or send somebody or send a group, that's one thing. But as importantly, or perhaps more right now, if you can write a check or take a visit and understand why you'd want to write a check. There's the information, datadreamranch.org, and the phone number is right there for you. I only have about 20 seconds here. I could talk to you all day. What's your message on this Veterans Day week?
Reach out, listen, because people may be talking to you about getting into a fight with a spouse or an issue with at work, but there might be an underlying cause to that. So find out what the root cause is and try to help. And one person at a time will make a difference.
Thanks for your work. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, datadream.org, okay?
datadreamranch.org.
datadreamranch.org.
Thank you.
It's on the graphic. And check the WPRI.com website. We always double up on the info. I'll be right back. It's on WPRI and back here next weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service.